What do you nerd again? This is the one and only Packer Girl 89, and today's book nerd again video is Starcrossed by Josephine Angelini. And as you may have noticed, I am not wearing my signature nerd again glasses, but that is because the book is about the face known as Helen of Troy, the face that launched 1,000 ships, with a modern twist. So I really like this. This series is really good. This is another demigod series, but it's a little bit different. So instead of, the descent, like Camp Half-Blood and Camp Jupiter and the Wildfire series, where we have in the Camp Half-Blood and Camp Jupiter from the Percy Jackson series, Heroes of Olympus, where they're just flat out, sons and daughters of the gods, and Wildfire series where we're having the actual gods themselves. This is we have they're not Greek. These are the descendants of Troy, which is really interesting. And we have the House of Thebes, the House of Atreus, the House of Rome, and the House of, what's the other one? I can't remember the other house right now. House of Atreus, House of Thebes, House of Rome. I can't remember the other one right now. I'll get to it in the next book. But anyway, so let's see what we got here. Am I on the right one? Yes. So, so let's get to some of my favorite parts of the book. So, I like that one of my favorite lines from the book is when Aridine says, and thank you for not peeing on me. Aridine laughed as a beautiful pixie of a woman in her late 20s popped her head around the half-open door, and that was like her entrance. I just started laughing. I was like, wow, Aridine. So we have the Delos family, who are from the House of Thebes, and they're the sons of Apollo, and they're the biggest house, because what happens is we have the 100 cousins, who are all the sons of Apollo in the House of Thebes, that annihilated the other houses, or because they believed if they destroy the other houses that Atlantis will rise from the depths of the ocean and give the demigods immortality. But as you will see in I think it's in Dreamless or Goddess. I think it's Goddess. As you will see in Goddess, that's not the case, and I will get to that in my Goddess book Nerdigan video. And I love it when Helen and Lucas first meet as well. It's really crazy because what you have are the Furies have these blood debts going on. So basically anyone from opposing houses want to kill each other. It's just crazy. And what's really crazy is how Helen and Lucas break their blood debt. Because Helen's asleep, and she's flying out the window, and in her sleep, so she's dream flying, basically, and she wakes up and she just falls, and Lucas catches her, and she falls on top of him, and she describes it as a Helen-sized dent in Lucas, and that's how the blood debt is broken, because they save each other. And they fall in love, and basically Helen, as you know, Helen is like the descendant of Helen of Troy, and Lucas is the descendant of Paris, from Paris to Troy. And let's see. And this is their version of the demigod. This is sorry, I can't talk. This is Josephine's version of the demigods. This is how Lucas describes them. What is it? The gods are real, and they had children with mortals, half human, half god. We are their descendants, their scions. And this is what Cassandra says, too. Their gifts, don't they, Luke? Cassandra responded. Some signs are stronger than others, and some have broader range of powers, but the strength of those powers isn't dependent on how strong their parents were. And also, in the case of Lucas and some of the families, some of the other gods' powers end up being a part of them as well. So, like, even though Lucas is a son of Apollo, Lucas is also a shadow master, and that's because Hades had an affair with a daughter of Apollo. So, yeah. Let's see. Oh, here it is. The next part. We think it has something to do with the fact that the gods are immortal. They never fade, so neither do the talents they've given us. So no matter how many generations pass, that their powers will always pass down. So, like, no matter what, it could be their great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparent. Like, they'll still get their powers, which is pretty interesting. And it kind of explains a lot in the Camp Jupiter scenario as well. Let's see. In the past, there have been rumors about pairs of scions, usually a man and a woman, who have found a way to be together and not see the Furies, but it's never been proven. As far as we know for sure, you and Lucas are the first to manage it. This is Castro that's saying it. I think it may have something to do with saving a life. I think somehow you managed to save each other and this freed you from the cycle of vengeance, but I can't be certain about that. Yeah, and then there's the House of Thebes. Oh yeah, here we go. This is what Lucas is saying about the House of Thebes. My family's house, the House of Thebes, are the descendants of Apollo. He's primarily known as the god of light, but he's also the god of music, healing, and of truth. So that's how we find out he's a false finder. Scions who can feel lies, and they're very rare, and he's one of them. I always know a lie when I hear it, and if it comes from someone close to him, he can't stand it. So yeah, you can't lie to Lucas at all. Like, he can feel lies. It's crazy. I love how Claire is described. Claire is just insane. She's 5 feet and 2 inches of pure terror. I love it. And I love it, like Jason says too. It's funny. I think that's what Jason says. I think this is what Jason says. I bet you were 5 feet of fat head and 2 inches of ass. I love it. Yeah, that's what she said to Jason. That was pretty funny. And I love what Helen says after that. Helen says to Claire right after that. She said, "Why did you say that to him?" Claire says, "Because it felt fantastic." I love it. Let's see. I love Hector. Hector is awesome. Hector is totally the Piccolo of the group. I know I'm being an anime nerd again here at the moment, but it's true. Hector is the Piccolo of this group because he has the battle strategies. And as we'll see later on in Dreamless and in Goddess, when we see the echoes of the past, he is like the brains of the group. I'm not going to spoil any more of the book. Or there is spoilers, but I'm not going to spoil any, whatever. Let's see. Right after the Trojan War ended, this is really important, right after the Trojan War ended, there was a great prophecy made by Cassandra of Troy. She said, and I explained this earlier, that if only one sign house remains, then we can raise Atlantis and claim it as our own land forever. The 100 Cousins interpret that prophecy to mean that if we demigods earn our entrance into Atlantis, that we will become immortal just like the gods of Olympus. Apollo fought riding in Hector's chariot. Athena fought with Achilles, and Poseidon fought on both sides of the war. This is we're talking about the Trojan War here. And Poseidon fought on both sides of the war, changing his mind as often as the tide. I thought this was interesting. Even Aphrodite, the goddess of love, flew down to the battlefield on one occasion to protect Paris as she scooped him up to fly him away from certain death. Her hand was cut by a Greek blade. When her father Zeus saw Aphrodite's injury, he forbade her to return to Troy. She disobeyed him, of course, and that enraged Zeus, but not enough to get involved. It wasn't until his daughter Athena and his son Ares nearly sent each other to Tartarus, a hellish place of no return for immortals, that Zeus knew he had to act. Human war was tearing his family apart, and it was threatening his rule over the heavens. Zeus agreed as well. If the signs ended the war, he didn't care how. He swore on the river Styx that the gods would retreat to Olympus and leave the world alone. But before he sealed his vow, he wanted some assurance that such a terrible war would never threaten Olympus again. As he saw it, the Greeks' unification of the Scion houses in order to fight the Trojans nearly tore Olympus apart. Zeus wanted to make sure that such total involvement never happened again. As he set his seal on the truce and made his unbreakable vow that the Olympians would leave the earth, he also swore to return and wipe out the Scions if the house was ever united again. The Olympians finally left the earth. Zeus swore that if the house is ever united again, he would come back and the Trojan War would pretty much start all over again. The House of Thebes won, and it was thought that the other three, the House of Atreus, the House of Athens, and the House of Rome, were wiped out entirely. I love this. I love Lucas. So Lucas has a moment. But before I talk about that, the main reason I told you that is that part is really important, especially in Goddess, because it plays a huge role in like the whole backstory to Troy is really important too, and I really love this series because it shows the gods in like a darker light, in a more realistic light compared to the Percy Jackson series. So now let me get to Lucas. I love Lucas. He's such a perfect boyfriend because I would love to have Lucas as a book boyfriend because he can bend light, and so because he can bend light and shield and hide you just like make out in the hallway, and plus he can fly. I mean, he could fly to Paris and he could bend light and hide you. I mean, what would you want that? Okay, and let's see. I love this line: strength, speed, agility, acute hearing, and eyesight, beauty, rapid healing, and intelligence. Although the last one's debatable, these are all gifts that pretty much every Scion has and wouldn't have to be trained to use them. But there's another group of talent that are rare, and most of them take some work. Flying is one of the rare ones and one of the hardest to get the hang of. Yeah, I want to fly. I would want to learn how to fly. I don't know about any of you guys, but I would want to learn how to fly. Okay, so this is really important because this is behind, and I think this is interesting about the Oracle, because Cassandra is the Oracle in this series. Apollo made a deal with the three fates. She said, I think this is what Cassandra said in this part, I don't remember. Cassandra said, half distracted by some darker thought. He offered them something they couldn't have without him, a baby girl. He swore on the river Styx to give them offspring, and in return, they swore never to cut his string of life. From that day on, Apollo got his immortality, and every generation, one girl who is descended from him belongs to the Fates. She is their spiritual daughter, and occasionally she can see what her mothers have in store for the world. So yeah, that's how Apollo gets his immortality, basically, and how we basically have an Oracle of Delphi in this series. And where was that, Rorden? Seriously. Where are we? Oops. Helen can generate lightning, which is pretty badass because Helen of Troy is actually a daughter of Zeus and Aphrodite's sister. So, yeah, Helen can generate lightning, so she must be a Pokemon. Yeah. Let's see. There were no bubbles streaming out of his mouth, just clear speech. He could breathe, he could talk, he could walk on the seabed as if he walking on firm ground. Helen finally understood why Hector terrified her so much. He was an ocean creature, and she was deathly afraid of the ocean. As I said, I think Hector said that there was someone in his family because Hector is Lucas's cousin. It was his uncle. It was like one of his relatives slept with a Neri. That's what it was. It was when we were 7 and she wasn't hurt, because Claire pushed her off the roof. That's how Claire figured out that Helen was a demigod. That was so funny. Anyway, I knew about the nice thing because I tried to stop you once too. She continued, knew fastly, but I already knew you'd be fine because of what happened with Gretchen and the sisters in 2nd grade, remember? That was so funny. I thought that was great. I know this is getting long, but I think I'm almost done. Oh, God. I think I'm almost done. Her necklace looks like whatever would attract the person who looks at it. That ability is only related to one goddess and one relic. Cassandra called down, still searching for something. Aphrodite's cestus. So Helen's necklace that she wears is Aphrodite's cestus, and which is pretty cool because it's impenetrable. So, like, I love the scene where they're just attacking Helen with swords. It's so funny because they were deflecting all the swords, and everyone was having a field day. And then out of nowhere, Lucas just comes and just starts beating the hell out of. I think he was beating the hell out of Hector. It's funny because first it started when Cassandra shot Helen with an arrow, and then and like I think it was Jason and Hector are like, "What the hell are you doing, Cassandra?" And Cassandra's like, "Nothing. Like, she just can't get hurt." And then Hector and Jason started having fun, like trying to stab Helen and start destroying swords. It was great. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the book. I couldn't stop laughing. Oh, where is it? Oh, this part was funny too. Helen looked at, this was when they were experimenting with the necklace and she was looking at Hector. This is great. Helen looked down and saw that she was holding a tiny scrap of lace that more closely resembled diamond-crusted dental floss and underpants. Everyone burst out laughing, pointing at Hector and making fun of his trashy taste. She looked at Lucas in concentration and turned it back into her necklace, and he grinned. Oh my God, that part was so funny. I couldn't stop laughing. That was so great. And then after, like everything with her mother coming back and all that, that was really insane because, her mother was out of the picture. We find out all the stuff about her being part of the House Phage Priest and all that, and then we get that, and there's the whole thing with Pandora and the cousin. Oh my God, that was just insane. What was his name? Oh God, I can't think of his name. There's Shadowbender. Oh, he was such a prick. Oh, was it Creon? Creon, that's his name, Creon. Creon was just creepy as hell. He was a creepy motherfucker. I can tell you that much. But like we had a moment. We had the moment of we had a Mortal Instruments moment when her mother said that her and Lucas were first cousins, which we know is a load of bullshit. Aunt Pandora figured it out. That was a load of bullshit. But of course Aunt Pandora was killed by Creon, and you can't be a king killer because you'll hear the Furies, and that's all bad. So, yeah. So, TMI moment. Pandora figured it out. And, let's see. But damn, it was crazy because Daphne, Helen's mom has the other part of the cestus, and it was insane because Daphne changed her appearance to look like Pandora and tricked Creon into killing the real Pandora, and that's how he became a king killer. Holy crap. And then Hector killed Creon, and now Hector is the king killer. Oh God, it was just insane. This book I love Starcrossed by Josephine Angelini. I love it so much. And I will be doing Dreamless, which is the next book in the series. I would love to hear your thoughts. What was your favorite part of this book? Please comment, like it, share it, spread the book nerdigan awesomeness. And until Dreamless, the next video, which will be the next video, keep on reading, book nerdigans.